One of the first things is that people really worry about the needles. And that's perfectly understandable because nobody goes to the doctor wanting to have all kinds of needles, poked into them. They expect it to be very, very painful. But these needles are very small, they're filiform, they're solid, and they're designed to push through tissue, not cut through tissue.
What are the benefits beyond pain relief?
Excellent question. This is kind of a whole body system of medicine, so it's not really about just one thing or another. We're treating the whole person. So rather than treating your insomnia, your night sweats, your headaches, and so forth with different kinds of medications or different kinds of doctors, we're looking for the root cause of all of those things and treating the root.
I was lying on the table in a room of about 200 people. My sensei felt my pulses and announced to the class that I have liver blood deficiency. I wiggled my toes like I do when I'm pretending to be calm and really hoped that I wouldn't cry in front of all those people. He then placed the acupuncture needle in my calf and I relaxed into the lovely, warm, now familiar acupuncture feeling of a really good treatment. I was not surprised to feel the warm sensation around where he had placed the needle, but I was very surprised to feel that warm magic marker sensation start to climb up the side of my body, zigzagging back and forth like a Roomba robot vacuum, stopping at one place and then changing direction slightly to go to the next place, until it finally finished all the way by the corner of my eye.
I really have gotten to the point where I have one very, very rarely. So this morning, I woke up with one. I haven't had one in about 3 or 4 months, but I woke up with one. And I did some gua sha for myself, which we're going to talk about in just a second. That's a scraping technique. And I just kind of worked on the epicenter of the migraine right here. Gua is the practice of scraping, and then the sha is this red kind of petechiae, these little hickey marks that come up on the back of your neck.
Okay.
And then I took some magnesium, I took some homeopathics, a Tramiel, and then the migraine was gone in about 30 minutes.
That is awesome. Wow.
It's a very specific thing. It's a one-sided headache. And so it's not a headache that goes all the way across the front of the face. It's not a headache that's necessarily just behind your eyes. It's not something that's coming from the back of the neck. It's really a throbbing, one-sided headache. And it takes a medical provider to make that diagnosis.
I knew that acupuncture was real because at that point I had already performed acupuncture on others. I had received acupuncture that had worked on me, and I knew that chi was kind of nerves and arteries, but I didn't really ever have had the experience of a channel opening in my body.
And the name migraine comes from the Greek, or the really kind of the Latin, hemigrana, which is hemi is half, right? And they just took the HE out of it when it sort of got moved into France. So migraine comes from this idea that it's only on one side of the head or the other. It generally is a really pulsating headache, kind of this throbbing, gets a little bit bigger and a little bit less. And it's moderate to severe in intensity. It's worse with movement, it's worse with light, it's worse with loud sounds, and it typically gives you some nausea.
For most people, they need half their body weight in ounces every day in terms of water. So if you're a 200-pound person, you don't need only 64 ounces, you need 100 ounces of water in order to stay hydrated.
From a Chinese medicine perspective, it's also really interesting because that yin-yang balance, that cold-heat balance, stimulates movement. It's very similar to the weather patterns, right? Whenever you've got hot air and cold air and they start to mix, then that creates wind and that creates our weather. So the same sort of idea applies to bodies in Chinese medicine, that moving the qi, moving the blood, moving the yin, moving the yang creates balance, and that helps us to be more healthy.